Catalyst Stories is what it's called, right? Catalyst Stories. Did I spell it right?
We are.
Yep, there's the link.
Yeah.
All right, we are just waiting for Mr. Miles. There he is.
Hey.
We are live on YouTube and our Facebook Catalyst Storieroad page. Thank you, everybody, for being here today.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
this
you.
is
Yes.
exciting. So just to do some quick introductions, my name is Philip Gilpin Jr., and I'm the Executive Director of Catalyst. I'm going to kind of be the voice in the background, and I'm going to make myself disappear here as we get into the questions. But if we want to go around the room, start with Cathy and just do some quick introductions.
Okay, my name is Cathy Reinking. I've been working casting director since the early 90s. Before that, I was theater major at UCLA, and I continue to work, knock on wood, in the industry. Love actors, and I have a book on Amazon called How to Book Acting Jobs 3.0. I think that's all I'll say for right now.
That's great. All right, I'll just hop in. I think I'm next. I'm Erica Arvold. Thrilled to be here. Philip, thank you so much for inviting all of us. I wear many hats: casting director, producer, director, master teacher, mom, wife, friend, shenanigan artist. I don't know. And I'm thrilled to be here. I dare say it's probably around my 30th year in this crazy, wonderful business. And I am an expert at adjusting and pivoting. I'll tell you, that's what I feel like. Oh, and I'm an accidental CEO because my company is now 10 years old.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I learned a lot in 10 years and before that too. And I love everyone on here so much.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, so I think I'm next. Okay, hi, I'm Tonia Jackson, and I am an actor. I have been acting without aging myself. I'm a particular age. So I've been acting since I was a little girl for 30 years. And I'm just I'm so grateful that I've had the opportunity since 1989 to work consistently in business. As a theater artist, I'm a theater baby, but I do film and TV as well. I also coach, and I'm a teacher at Utopian Academy for the Performing Arts, where I teach some wonderful young people about this business that we do in the correct way. I like to say, and also the TCG Fox Fellow Distinguished Artist Grant winner this year under the umbrella of True Colors Theater Company, and I'm so excited. Yeah. I get to do some wonderful things for myself as an artist, for longevity, and just for the next part of my career, and also work with True Colors Theater Company, who I adore, and work in the community, bringing young artists who don't have a lot of connections to what we do, bringing them in and helping them have a wonderful career the way that people did for me. I'm just really excited, and thank you all for letting me be here.
Nice. I'm Miles Mussenden. I don't have all these accolades like these wonderful folks before me, but I'm happy to be here with you guys and Catalyst. Thank you all for having me. I am an actor. I too was a child actor in theater, and then I've been acting professionally in film and television for like the last 12 years. I'm a father, and I also produce, and I'm writing a screenplay right now, but primarily I'm a prepper right now. You know, prepping because I don't know what's going to happen at the end of the world or something. But no doom and gloom here. You know, I'm an actor, and you can catch me. We have I'm working on some projects with Erica. Yeah, we're doing the Good Lord Bird. Should be coming out on Showtime sometime soon with Ethan Hawke.
Awesome.
And Joshua. And then we're also doing Swagger. On Apple TV, so that'll be coming out really soon. Well, hopefully, you know, we can get this thing wrapped. You know, we get back to work here. So I'm excited. You know, I might have some unique things to share with this because I think me bouncing back and forth to New York and Atlanta and working all over the place might lend to make me a little bit ready to deal with whatever's coming here for us with this new COVID stuff. So I'm excited to get started and talk with you guys.
Yeah, thank you. This is going to be good. So I want to kick it off by asking the first question, which is to have each of you talk a bit about the changes that you are seeing in the casting process that's happened over just the last few months from each of your perspectives.
Do you mind if I dive in?
Please.
Okay. So all of the live action projects have stopped completely. And I'm doing the most itty bitty wonderful voiceover job. So I'm very grateful for that right now. And I am still receiving scripts, and in the case of me producing and directing, giving notes. And so all the things that can possibly be done are being done. As far as casting goes, I do know, and Cathy might be able to speak even more, or Tonia and Miles, that there are a bazillion open calls that I keep hearing about in terms of, you know, and some general meetings actually as well. But for me, my education company is what is sustaining my company. We're 6 strong. We are bound and determined to not lay anyone off and keep our 6 people employed and with health insurance. And I am literally a CEO caped crusader right now, if that's the right term. Our education program is providing all sorts of fun things, pay what you can, even some things are free, to help actors with all these open calls and whatnot. I feel like that's where my company can make a bigger difference with people's craft. That's my answer.
Yeah.
I'd like to answer in that. I think this is going to be the end of in-person auditions, and I'm really sad about that. I think it's going to be just all self-tape. I think that it was already waning, but I think this is kind of solidifying that, at least for a long time. And I feel like actors not in the room with a casting director is just really a sad state of affairs, because you need some direction sometimes. And self-tapes are its own art form. I've started doing workshops on self-tape because I think it's critical that, you know, you make that first 10 seconds great, and that you talk a lot about the technical aspect of a self-tape, but it's like, what is good acting on a self-tape? And so that is, you know, an art.
Yeah, but don't you think that it's possible? Of course, I love in-persons too. Cathy, you and I have known each other, so we're like,
exactly. When there were
old school, yeah. But I found that what I started to do even before this hit was give direction and be in the room, especially because I travel so much to different locations, that I would be on, you know, Skype or Zoom or FaceTime or whatever, on the other end with my associate actually taping someone. I'm giving the direction and the actors on the other side. And that, I think, might be a little sad to the in-person, maybe temporarily.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as like, you can't do that with everyone. Like, is that a callback? Is that a callback? Yeah,
totally.
Yeah, so it's like the first round where you're getting hundreds and hundreds of self-tapes, and there's no way you can watch each of them all the way through. It's, you know, technically impossible. So, but that's cool what you're doing for callbacks. I love that. Sounds great.
I'll pipe in. This is Miles. For auditioning, I mean, I found that it slowed down significantly over since the stuff started, like it's maybe 3 weeks ago, or probably a month now.
I think it's a month now.
About a month, yeah, about a month.
Who's counting? Who's counting?
Yeah, who's counting? You know, counting sheep. But you know, I find like maybe last week was the first time I started getting some auditions, and they've been by tape. You know, they've been self-tape, and actually, I know one of them was pretty interesting. It was, I think, for HBO, and they wanted us to tape. They asked some questions, so they wanted me to answer the questions as myself, not in character, completely as myself. And then the audition was separate. So I guess maybe that gives the casting director some kind of feeling of, who the person is or whatever. I didn't know that particular casting director. My first time reading for them. And yeah, so that, or they might have been doing it for the producers. I don't know. But yeah, just 2 auditions. So it was a hopeful sign because it was nothing for 2-3 weeks. And then that was the first few that came in.
Okay, thanks. My video gave out, so I'm going to be the little white dot here for a bit.
It becomes you, Philip. It becomes.
I'll just be the voice.
I think I'm next. Am I next?
Yeah, go ahead, Tonia.
Okay, I think that I agree. It's like Cathy and what everybody was talking about. The auditions have slowed down considerably. I was out of town doing a show for a long time, and so I thought when I come back, I'm gonna be ready for pilot season. Last year was insane. It's been nothing like that. I have, like Miles, had about 3 auditions. Most of the out of the 3, 2 of them came from my manager in Los Angeles, and then just 1. So it's just been a lot slower, but it's given us hopefully the opportunity to continue to work on craft, and also for me working on my fellowship things I have to do. So
I want to ask, from a casting director perspective, how is this changing what is your process like now, and what are the changes for it? And then from the acting side, what are some specific equipment and expenses and things that actors should be investing in to adapt to this new reality?
Cathy, you want to start?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand. So you're asking us, like, how is this changing our process? But the self-tape situation, you mean?
Yeah, in terms of not having the in-person auditions anymore and going to self-tape, but is it changing any way in which you handle the process, or
yeah, I can't. I mean, I can't. Yeah, I can't set up in person anymore, and I mean, it's actually less time consuming to do that. But again, it takes the art out of it, I feel, unless you're. I mean, especially if you're an actor just starting out. And Miles is really lucky that people are coming to him with auditions. But if you're just starting out, it's just really, I think, it's really hard to get on the radar of someone at this time, unless you're creating your own content, which I urge people to do, to create your own content and then post that. At least you're being seen in some way and you're telling your own story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. The in-persons are one of my favorite parts, and it's sad. However, as Cathy mentioned earlier, it already had been waning, and with everyone, most actors being, local, and then also happen to be in maybe LA or New York or Chicago, or it's a very me too. I've got my Atlanta house, and I've got my Charlottesville, Virginia place, and so it's like, and I'm in Virginia now, but literally I've had studios, I'm going to digress for 1 second, but I've had studios ask me, like, where do you really live? Where should we really hire you? I'm like, I know what an actor feels like right now, because literally my residence is Virginia, and I spent 80% of my time in Atlanta last year. So where do I live? Where do I live?
Are you a local hire or not?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like, but
where do you live?
I know, it's really amazing. Like, I'm like, this is where my mom lives. This is where my dad. Like, I go through the whole list and tell everyone. But I have to say, maybe it's just because I have worked on shows in lots of places, even simultaneously. And the same studio actually hired us both for a show in Atlanta and a show in Virginia, which was great. And they're like, you can do it. You do it all the time. And I was like, that's forward thinking. I love it. But there's no difference for me and my job right now, Philip. There's no difference other than if we need to have a chemistry read or a callback in person, which is fairly rare on television shows because it moves so quickly. It's the same. And I'll do my trick that I told you all earlier with doing the callback or even having a discussion on Skype or whatnot. But it's just focused on the 90% that I already do, and that extra 10% of in person is away. But Cathy, I think I have hope that the in-persons are going to come back. I think we are all so needing that personal connection that I think maybe the pendulum will go the other way, and we'll see a resurgence of in-person. That's what I'm voting for.
That's good to know that it isn't changing much, because I think that's important too, is to know what is staying staying similar and staying the same for folks. So, and from an acting perspective, in terms of, increasing self-tapes versus in-person auditions, Tonia and Miles, do you want to talk a little bit about what you think, actors should be doing to change their routines a bit? Or are there certain types of cameras and lights and mics and things that you've found you've had to invest in, some more kind of technical aspects of entering this new fully self-tape audition paradigm?
Miles, you want me to go or you want to go?
Whatever you is.
Mine will be quick. I'll go quick. Miles is probably going to have more. I had already had the equipment that I needed in order to do self-tape, but I just because I have friends who do it and we can barter and it's just better and we know how to do it better. I just had it, but now I actually have to put my stuff to use. And so I'm grateful that my daughter's home from Howard University because of course they had to leave campus. So she's able to help me. And so for me now, it's just about the lights that I had. Cathy's been to my place. She saw, she said that it was fine, the equipment that I had. So I don't have to do anything. I just have to go about the business of learning how to tape myself and finding more creative ways so that I can, I don't know if stand out is a good word, but just so it's just a bit more creative since it's all tape and people can't meet me in person to see what my energy or my vibe is or anything like that. I have to figure out a way to make that come through that self-tape. And so I'm really trying to work on skill set for myself as well as people that I teach and coach, just being as creative as possible. That's the only answer I got. Miles may have something a little deeper than that.
Yeah, thanks for that, Tonia. I say for routine, I think you have to be ready. You have to have your equipment. I mean, if you're wherever you are, you kind of got to take it with you, your self-taping equipment. Also, you got to stay healthy. I used to get sick and, you can't get sick anymore, it looks like, pretty much, so no catch and go. So, I mean, for me, I know this is not technical, but I think it's important to say that, like I take vitamins, paleo greens. I haven't been sick in 2 years. And I think that's going to be important. But anyway, in terms of equipment, I would say our cameras are great. Our phones are great. These new smartphones, they have a really excellent cameras on them. You really can use those to do your auditions. But you just have to kind of understand how to use them. I think most casting directors want them where it's in a landscape mode as opposed to, up and down. I think there's you're going to need some things. You need lighting. It's very important. So there's some advantages that people like me have because even though I'm in New York and I go in the room there, I also work in the Southeast and I have for years. So I'm used to self-taping, and we were kind of living in that self-tape space in Atlanta and all Virginia for several years now. So we're very accustomed and used to it. So when you have your camera set up, you need your tripod, and because it has to be steady, so you got to get proper equipment because it has to look professional as a casting director would do it in their space. So you have your tripod. You can get easily mount your camera, your phone on it with those selfie stick things. You can twist that part off, and that goes right on top of your what's those things in the the little thing that holds your camera to the tripod. And you can connect it like that. You shoot that landscape. Now, there's also something called the iRig mic. And there's a lot of different mics, but you can plug that right into your phone. And it's a directional microphone. So that it's facing you as when you're auditioning. So you're heard more clearer and louder than the person that you're reading with. So those are like the basic things you need to have: your lighting, a good camera, and a mic. Once you have that, I think that's a good starting point. I think going forward, we're going to need even more than that. And I would suggest that with the lighting, there are these big soft boxes for lights that people use, and I have them, but they're not portable. So they have some smaller ones that you can adjust the lighting so you can be in different spaces. I literally tape all over the place. I fly around a lot. I work in different states. So I carry my equipment with me. So I tape in hotel rooms, I tape wherever. And with these lights, they're like a 1/4 inch thick, LED lights, and you can adjust them and shoot anywhere, because that's one of the most important things, is that they can see you. So I don't want to talk too much, but I have a whole lot of stuff I can say about it.
No, that's
Can you mind if I say one more thing?
Yeah, please, go ahead.
I love, and I couldn't agree more, that to be seen and to be heard is the most important thing. But I want everyone to rest assured, at least in my opinion, if it doesn't look like a professional studio, the authenticity of the work and the character and the prep does still shine through. So it doesn't have to, you don't have to get completely hung up on it looking perfect, especially in this time. I think that at least for every casting director I've spoken to, we are even more forgiving of the technical and more concentrated on finding that character in you. As long as we can see you and hear you, that is how we can find that performance authenticity.
Yeah.
I want to add on that. I also think the framing is important, just because of that, because we have to see your eyes. Your eyes kind of have to be the focus, because that's really all we're looking at. So I think the framing should be shoulders up and not a lot of headspace above you, so that you're really centered and we can really see your eyes and your thoughts. I also really suggest actors get Apple products. A MacBook or just a computer, an Apple computer, and then an iPhone, because especially the 11, which has a 4K camera basically. So it really looks beautiful. And I discovered this new app called Filmic Pro, that really makes it look really incredibly professional. And buying an 11 is cheaper than buying a new Canon and an external mic. So, and it has a really good microphone in the 11 as well. So that's my Apple product.
No, that's awesome. Thank you. No, that's
one more thing that I think is important. The file size is also very important. So, I mean, I don't know what's, you're going to have to kind of get some kind of editing software, and it's something you can actually do on your phone, but
iMovie does that. iMovie does that. Yeah. On your phone and in your computer, and it's super easy for even non-tech people to use.
Yeah.
And then the file size, the 4K files do fine. I'm really shocked. You can still upload and download them, put them in Dropbox, send them in an email. I'm just surprised at how agile it is now.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been getting a lot of specific questions about the technicalities of self-taping, and for example, I want to jump over to some artistic tips in terms of craft and practicing and actually acting on tape. And we're getting very specific questions, such as, can you talk a little bit about eye line when you're doing a self-tape, especially if there's more than one character in a scene? Some people seem to be confused between whether or not it should just be them looking into the camera at all times, or whether they should actually be acting out scenes now, or whether can you talk a little bit from Cathy, you want to start about eye line in terms of these self-tapes and more than one people in a shot while you're doing your audition?
Yeah, so the eye line should be just off to the side of the camera. So you're not doing it directly, unless it's a mockumentary style. You're not doing that. You're looking just off to the side, which is where your reader should be, just off to the side. Can't be too far over, and then you should never look up or down. It should be just the eye line is straight on with the camera, as far as like the level of where your eyes are. Again, your eyes have to be the focus. And then what was the other? Shoot, I forgot.
Having a second person or multiple people.
Oh, second person. Thank you. The most you should have is 2 different places. Let's say there's 3 characters in a scene that you're talking to. Have like 2 characters on the right side and then 1 character on the left side. But it shouldn't be like where you have 4 different sides that you look at, or 5 different sides. You should keep it as simple as possible. Also, actions, I think, keep those at a minimum, because you don't get hired on your mime skills. You get hired on how connected you are with the other person in the scene, and how much we're feeling, if you're emotionally compelling or not. And that's what we're drawn to.
Erica?
Indeed. So I'll give you an example. These are my reading glasses. You're completely all blurry now. So I'm looking at Cathy, and I'm looking at Miles, and I'm looking at Tonia, and now I'm looking just to the side of the camera. And so there's probably, hopefully, it's blurry. Hopefully there is a better connection right now and you can see me. And here's another silly, wonderful tip. If I'm worried about me, now I'm worried about, do I have marks here? But that's one thing, that's on me, right? If I'm worrying about you, are you hearing me right now? I'm completely, oh, look at you. Oh, you're smiling. That's awesome, right? So you have to get off yourself and into the other in order for there to be a connection. And the camera reads your thoughts. And so you have to have in-character thinking. It's not only about the words on the page. It's about all that blank of the page. That is an actor's job, is to create all the world of the blank on the page. And so in between the words, if you're thinking like the character, it's so palpable, because if the camera's reading your thoughts and you go up on a line and you don't know what you're saying next, we can see you're going, I wonder what I'm saying next. You know what I mean? So the preparation is everything. And it's the same thing in the room. But it's almost even more important with self-tape auditions to be so prepared and with that in-character thinking, because the camera is seeing you different than we are with our naked eyeballs, although both Cathy and I probably have trained for so many years that we can hopefully see you more like a camera. That's my 2 cents.
That's good.
No, that's great. I'm sure people are figuring this out as they go. So thank you for being really specific, and examples help. That was, even though you might not be able to see us, we could see you.
Yeah.
So
Okay, good.
And I don't know if people are really getting that, because you really have to know. I mean, there's not a lot of resources to do really good self-tapes, I don't think, unless you go to a company, which you can't do that right now.
Even right now, for instance, here we are right now talking to each other on tape. We're engaged, right? I'm looking at you, I'm moving my hands, and I'm one-sided hearing. And so I know just a little bit of sign language, because when I went deaf, I needed to learn it. And I have this whole new wonderful appreciation for online communication, because it reminds me of when I was learning ASL. We have to not just sit back and be still and be boring, like my recent family reunion where no one knew how to do online communication at all. We have to literally be nodding and smiling and engaged and use our hands, and it's movement's okay. We don't want to be like this all the time, but movement is okay. And I think that practicing, even when we're doing these webinars, even when you're talking to your friends, you actually are practicing being yourself on camera, which will serve your auditions on tape.
Thank you. Yes. And so Tonia, from a craft perspective, what are some tips you have that you've learned over the years for the translating your craft to a self-taping situation?
Okay, and this is great for me, because I've been doing theater for so long, and I've been really doing film and TV maybe 10 years, so 25 of those years were probably in theater, very little film and TV. So for me, in the beginning, it was a little difficult, because I think that I was so big, just because I'm used to playing in houses and you have to reach the back, right? And so my acting didn't change as much, as I had to really internalize my emotions. My emotions can be really big, especially if there's pain involved. There'll be tears, there'll be all this stuff. So I had to learn to take that stuff and just bring it down, not make my acting smaller, but just internalize it. That's the only thing that I can do. The only way I can explain it, and Cathy talked about it, somebody has to live behind the eyes. Like there has to be a living, breathing character behind the eyes at all times. And also Erica was talking about connecting up with the other person. The relationship is important for me, and also getting out of Tonia's head and getting into the character head, which always makes everything better. And when I leave out of the audition, or if I'm taping it, if I stay in that moment, I feel so much better that I'm in pocket, whether I book it or not. I'm like, it wasn't about me, because I did what I was supposed to do. You know what I mean? It's about they went another way. They just didn't pick me. But as far as the art and the craft of it, I did have to practice it, because doing film and TV at the beginning, it felt like I wasn't doing anything. I'm like, I wasn't, and I would book the stuff where I wasn't doing anything. And so I was like, so now I know how to sort of calibrate between, I know if I'm on stage, I got to push it out a little bit for film and TV. not make my acting small, just internalize it more, if that makes sense.
I think that's amazing. I think theater, the energy exchange is 70% from the actor to the audience and 30% back from the audience. And I think on camera, it's not about bigger or smaller. It's certainly about denser, as you were saying. But I think that it is 70% the camera to you, 30% out. So I think the polarity of the magnetism is just swapped. So it's not about big or small. It's about the magnetism. The energy flow is the opposite.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's
yes.
good.
Thank
That's
you.
good.
Thank you. I love that. Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to use that. I'm stealing
Me
that.
too.
Please do. Please do.
Yeah, I think we're all saying the same thing. It's just different ways. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That,
Yeah,
that's
totally.
a visual is wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think you guys all have said it well. I mean, I think I probably would just add, use the frame. So, you know, we learned about eye lines, and like, I know for me, I don't always look at the person. So my eyes are not always on the camera. I know, and I know that's a rule of thumb, kind of make sure the camera can see your eyes. But I mean, depending on what I'm doing, you know, I might turn away because that might be conveying something, how I feel, you know what I'm saying, without having to say anything. And I might move, and, you know, I have a whole frame. So, you know, if I'm back here and I'm smaller, that changes things about me without me having to act it. If I have the camera lens shooting up at me, and that makes me a little bit more powerful. You know, if it's coming down on me, it makes me a little bit more weak. And these are little things, little cheats that I think are helpful and can make self-tapes more memorable. Because, you know, if you put yourself in the casting director's shoes, and I have a lot of casting directors that I really, you know, I got to give them a lot of credit and love them, that if Cathy and Erica are watching 50 tapes of the same thing, and you have a guy sitting here looking directly down the barrel and saying, you know, it becomes boring. So I might just do that little thing where I'm a little bit different and I'm over here, and that alone might make somebody a little bit more interested in what we're doing, you know. So that's my 2 cents.
Miles, I'm going to have to contradict you a little bit.
Okay.
I think that's risky tips to tell somebody that is not as brilliant as you. So, and not to say that everyone, because that's a little risky. I mean, you have to be just really brilliant. And we don't get bored if somebody's really connected and engaged. Like, we get bored when they're, you know, not, you know, it's not a good actor. So that's when we get bored. I don't think people have to worry about making a bold choice like that. I'm glad that you book a lot of jobs that way, but I don't think it's for the general public. Also, the eye line is not directly into the camera. It is off to the side. So it's not like they're not looking at the camera. It's off to the side, but it's at the same level as where the camber is. That's what I was saying. So just to clarify.
And agree with you. I would say, you know, with I used to do a lot of I used to play a lot of cops, and you know, I found that for me, and I think you're right. Everybody is different. You know, since because of my experience, because I've been a series regular and all that kind of stuff, I probably can get away with things that other actors.
Yeah, you can. Actually, you can.
You know, however, I feel like when I was doing like you know, cop number one, you know, it was if I just stood there and did the lines, it was one thing, but it was hard for me to break out of that until, and I almost felt like I had to do a little bit more, something that's a little bit, maybe a little scary, to be able to get seen and to be able.
First of all, I'm going to really contradict you here. When you were playing those, when you were auditioning for the cops, was that self-taping or was that in the room?
Both.
Because I'm sure you were in the room more than self-taping.
Probably back then, yeah, I was in the room.
Yeah. So, like I said, I think you're in a
Well, it's like when you're a writer, right? You first start writing your screenplay according to all sorts of these wonderful structural rules because they're important. But then once you really get, you know, agile and used to writing, you can break the rules. So Miles is talking about breaking the rules right now, which can be interesting. I did have a big debate with someone recently who said that their audition was all turned away because that's what the character would do and all this stuff. And I said, here you go. Let me just tell you, in an audition, you have to adjust yourself for the camera. On set, the camera comes to you everywhere. So it's a completely different genre that is backwards. And so, and Miles, whatever movement you're doing, I dare say, even, for like a cop number one role, if the actor's audition is literally knowing that they are moving in their head, their thoughts are talking about, or their thoughts are that they're moving, but they're not, we will see that movement, and it's like, osmosis. It's a magical thing.
Yes. Well, I would say to everybody, listen to the casting directors because they're the ones hiring you.
Well, what we're going to do is
the Cathy and everything.
we're going to have a secret follow-up to this of like a high-level expert acting masterclass, how to break the rules the right way.
But you have to learn that. But Erica's right. You have to learn the rules, and you have to get really good at those rules. Right. Then you can break them.
Exactly.
So. Exactly. Like after you book like 5 jobs on a self-tape, then maybe you can break the rules.
You can break the rules. So I want to just start getting into some kind of day-to-day professional scheduling and lifestyle changes that you see happening with everything going on right now. We're starting to get a lot of questions, I'm noticing, during this session about kind of things like scheduling and keeping yourself healthy and how to find auditions during these days and whatnot. So I want to start with, obviously we all know that production is shut right now and there's going to be a bit of a backlog happening. Let's just start with the basics. Are you seeing more or less auditions being posted right now? And when do you expect things to kind of return to, from what you're thinking, return to some semblance of normal in terms of the flow of the available auditions? Erica, you want to go first?
Yeah, I see 0 auditions. We have this one very small voiceover job that I'm so grateful for, and that's it. So all of my efforts are in education, and frankly, I'll be a little philosophical. There's so many opportunities and so many people saying make the best of this time, and I am a go-getter, perfectionist, work hard, I'll sleep when I'm dead kind of person. And literally, I've had to give myself a little pass to say, you know what, self-compassion, this is so much stuff. I have to comprehend it and I have to deal with it and I have to meditate. And it's okay to not be hustling all the time right now. And maybe I just need to hear it. But I think that as artists, we are always growing and we're curious and all of that. But I think coupled with that hunger that hopefully we always have, that's where starving artist came from, right? Hunger for more creativity, not poor. Always hungry for creativity. Yeah. And then it got misaligned with financial stuff. But really, it means you're an artist when you always want to expand and grow, and your curiosity just is always alive. Frankly, that's the true meaning of starving artist. So, but that starving artist in me needs to also know that I don't have to be doing that right now, because we're all going through, I hate using the word trauma, but it's true. We are all going through this, and there's a physicality to everything going on, but there's a big psychological aspect that if you look at other countries and whatnot, that's going to be hitting us a little later after we start on the decline, is the psychological aspect will be hitting us. And so we just have to practice self-care and whatever. I got up, I meditated this morning. I went on this beautiful walk by myself, and it's the first day I've done it. I was actually sick 7 weeks ago. I don't know if anyone knows, with what everyone was diagnosed as COVID. I didn't have any tests, but it's literally taken me 7 weeks to be able to go for a walk. And it was amazing and beautiful. And so I know I have a very specific perspective based on that, but I really, I don't know. There's opportunities at every corner that are different than the regular opportunities, but I think you should take advantage of any you feel artistically compelled to take.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's use that as a jumping off point for one of our questions here, which is, what are some best ways to stand out and stay motivated during these isolating times? Tonia, you want to talk a bit about how you're handling keeping your motivation going?
I'm just continuing to do the work. Like Erica was talking about, I'm staying grounded, and I'm doing my mindfulness work, and I'm doing my meditation. I'm doing my spiritual work. I'm staying physically fit. I'm trying to eat right. I'm trying. That's since we're in, it's a little bit difficult sometimes. And I'm also making sure that I'm reading a lot. I still have to do the online learning because some of the kids are still in school. So I'm still teaching acting that way. And like I said, for me, with this grant coming at this time, I have so much work to do on that I'm able to stay focused in that way because I have to create all this stuff. Those are the kind, doing stuff like this. I'll be doing a podcast with True Color. I'm staying connected with other artists. I'm also going to start something called Safe Space, Brave Space Circle, where we can just talk about some of this stuff that we're going through. When you all were talking about the mental health aspect of it, being an artist, we already go through all this stuff with the not booking and how do I look and blah, 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 and all this crazy stuff. And why didn't I get it? And they're not calling. So I think that with this happening and us not even having that, I'm a huge person on therapy, talk therapy, and let's come to and community. I really want to try to do something where the community, some kind of, not all of us, because we have a massive community, but just to come together to talk some of this stuff out, cry, laugh, do some poetry, spoken word, monologues, whatever it is, so that we can stay sane. And those are the things that I'm doing. And just taking care of enjoying family, my dog, my daughter's home, stuff like that.
Thank you. Miles?
Yeah, well, I got to say that, honestly, I don't feel like I've really fully gotten into using this time and continuing to, be as creative as I can. I lost a few relatives through this COVID thing. It's really crazy. I'm like, I don't know how so many people in my family can die from this thing, but I've lost 4 people, and the last one being Sunday, Easter Sunday here. And so it's been a little challenging, to be honest with you. And but for me, I've been kind of like I told Erica, eating cookies and taking power walks, by myself as well, and with the family. But I'm finding it rewarding to be home, to be with my family, because again, I travel a lot for work, and I'm not home a lot. So really, it's an opportunity for me to spend time with them that I don't get to spend often, so I'm really appreciating this time to be, to be with the family. Then I also do things like I listen to masterclass, and Ron Howard and Shonda and people, giving, I love listening to other actors and what they're doing, and like we did the Good Lord Bird Don't Rush Challenge. That was fun.
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it's on Twitter. Yeah, it's that was fun. And so just little things like that. And I have I'm working on a script right now, so that's another outlet. And like when I'm done here, I'm going to be helping a up and coming aspiring actor with some role that she's doing, and so just giving back like that. So those kind of things just keep me going. Thank you.
Yeah, I think sharing the personal daily life that we're going through right now, Erica, like you said, this is a traumatic experience, and it is affecting us. And being open about how we're all getting through it is what's going to help us all, make us a little stronger and help us continue on. We're getting a few questions over here about things such as, in the old in-person days, there used to be a lot of open calls. So casting directors, how do you foresee the new future with people who used to go to things like open calls? If we don't go back to in-person auditions, how do you weed out the masses that used to maybe mail you headshots all the time? There's one particular question here that is about, should we be sending in taped monologues? Is that going to be the new, mailing in headshots? What do you see from a process perspective for new actors that want to reach a casting director in this new environment?
Cathy?
Yeah, first of all, I never had open calls. Open calls are kind of a mess, so I didn't really do that. I didn't work on huge movies where we had to find a child or something, but anyway, so open calls are kind of bad anyway. I know that a lot of casting directors right now, really top ones, are accepting like monologues and scene work, and which is fantastic. I prefer to, because I'm again a big proponent of creating your own content. I prefer to find someone who has already created something online on YouTube or Vimeo, or they put on Facebook, where they've created this short little piece, which I think people are being very creative with their time. Even the TikTok stuff is really cool. So it's like, how can you make this a story instead of getting another tape of a self-tape of a monologue that's probably from a movie? Like, if you're going to do a monologue, I suggest you write it. It should be original. It should be like an inner monologue. That's what I suggest, because then you've also got copyright kind of stuff. So I think it should be more personal. It should be your own story, and it shouldn't be in front of a backdrop where it just feels really self-tapey. That's what I think.
Yeah, I agree. You know, the way my brain works and the way my creative brain works is when I know the boundaries of a show and a character and a project and the creative vision, I then know what I'm looking for. And so I go to the haystack and I find those needles and or butterflies, whatever you want to use, and put them into this kind of world that I'm making, the ingredients of a beautiful soup or a great meal. And to me, to just comment very honestly about open calls is I don't have those boundaries to put the masses of 20,000 people into in any way that makes sense to my brain. And so that's why I feel that what we do with our education department is much more able to serve actors directly right now than join the other wonderful casting directors who thankfully have these wonderful open calls and monologue challenges and whatnot. I personally am not someone that, you know, people do send monologues or put them on social media or whatever. That is not something that entices me at all. I agree with Cathy. If I'm watching a show on TV and I see someone, it doesn't matter. I mean, I've been watching The Expanse lately, and my husband loves it, and I know some of the actors on it. And I always tell this story about when I was in LA on a show called Providence a long time ago. I remember an actor from NYPD Blue, and it was like maybe 5 years prior to Providence that I remembered him. And so casting directors are literally cops, not cop number one like you, Miles, but cops, to try to find that actor from 5 years prior. And literally I stopped The Expanse, and I said, Ted, to my husband, do you remember that story I have about that? Yeah, he's like, yeah. And I'm like, there he is. And he's on The Expanse. And I'm so excited. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Paul, there's Paul. And like, that's the way my mind works. And so open calls don't fit into that puzzle, but watching content and watching someone stand out and going, ooh, I want to keep them in my back pocket. That's how my mind works as well. Maybe I'm an anomaly, but Cathy, I think you and I, because we worked together a long time ago too, we're probably just more alike.
Yes, I think so. Yes.
This one question seems to sum up a whole bunch of questions we're seeing online here, which is basically now about finding new opportunities to pitch and get yourself and your project seen. Miles, do you want to talk a bit, and then Tonia follow up? Right now for you at your place in your career, you want to talk a little bit about the ways that you are finding projects or projects are coming to you, or how is your workflow happening these days?
Well, these days during the COVID?
Let's go right back pre-COVID.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, you know, well, first of all, I think projects coming, I think creating content, because content is king, and I'm writing, you know, so I think that's probably going to be the best way for projects to come to me, you know, by creating my own. So I am doing that, but outside of that, I think I have some good people working with me that kind of pitch me out for really great projects. So, you know, I think, like I do my auditions and stuff a little bit different. So I think a lot of casting directors know that I'm going to do something unexpected. You don't really know what I'm going to do. I don't know if Erica might be able to speak to that. And I don't even know what I'm going to do. So I think that it helps.
Well, that's the key. I will speak to that. If you're journeying through it completely fresh because you're discovering something new, then you're in the right place in your audition.
Yes. And so I'm getting opportunities on some great projects. just through the normal processes of my agents pitching me for projects that they feel I'm right for. Sometimes I'll create, you know, and this goes a little bit with the other question before this, I'll create a character just for fun. You know, I'll create a character and put it online. Now, if and I'll send it to my agent. So if I know that Erica's doing Good Lord Bird and I have this great character that might fit into that world, you know, I might tell my agent, hey, you know, can you get this to Erica, you know, or you know, or something like that, so that I can find my way into that world.
Perfect. For me, as far as theater, I've been doing it for so long, and I, you know, have a reputation. And so a lot of times my theater work just comes by people asking me to do work if I'm available at a certain time. I do have to audition sometimes, but a lot of times when I audition, I can kind of tell if they're bringing me into audition because they have to, because we may have had a conversation. But in the theater, I mean, you know, it's not because I'm better. I've just been doing it a long time. And so people know my work. They know how I am in the room. They know how passionate I am about it, and all of that. And I was told a long time ago that my discovery is probably going to be in theater. A lot of times the opportunities that I get are because people see me in the theater. Cathy, I met Cathy. She hooked me up right away because of theater. My agent, People Store, they saw me at the theater. Like, this is how my stuff always been. Now, as far as film and TV, I'm working on that more. I'm like Miles. I didn't talk about. I'm taking some, you know, some masters, listening to some people online, some casting directors and stuff like that. I started off as a writer, but I'm really sensitive. And so every time I would write something, I would go in my head about what people are going to think about it. And so I throw it in the trash. But I think that I'm going to get back to my writing and stop. And I'm older now, so I really don't care as much as I did as a younger person. And so I'm getting back to that kind of stuff. But for me, I've always been a person who's worked on my craft, and I've always ebbed and flowed. So I'm not making light of this by any stretch of the imagination. It's just that this right here, everything that's happening kind of feels like what we, as artists, we're always ebbing and flowing. We're always, it's either feast or famine, and we have to work in between. So that's what I'm doing.
Right.
If I could add one more thing to that, you know, like I read a lot of scripts now. You know, when we get auditions, they send the script. So I'm reading scripts like before pre-COVID, I'm reading scripts every day, sometimes multiple scripts a day. And so I think it makes you like really some of the indie projects or other projects that come, like I might have friends or other people that might say, hey, would you want to be involved in this project? It has to be really good, because I read so many good projects. I don't want to be part of something that's not, I don't deem as great. And then also like the dramatist, I can't remember. I don't know. They do like a readings on Friday, just script readings online. This is the first time I'm doing it. I saw, I don't know if there's a casting director, somebody posted it, or a producer. And anyway, they asked me to do this reading. So I'm going to be doing some reading with the dramatist on Friday, something like this online. And yeah, you know, so we'll see.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Well, we have 5 minutes left, so I am going to do we're going to end with a fun little lightning round of just hodgepodge questions we've been getting over here on the side while we've been chatting. Cathy, I'll throw this one to you for a quick answer. For those who are SAG eligible, should they join auditions for projects you work on, or wait till they're a must join?
Projects I work on, you don't have to be in SAG to come and audition for me.
All right, Erica?
Ditto.
Ditto, yeah. Do you see actors that don't have reps? Erica?
Yes.
Cathy? Yep. All right.
Yeah, especially if I've seen them in a play, because that is where I go
Yes.
talent. Or I've seen them in an indie film.
Theater's everything. Yes.
Yeah.
Miles and Tonia, one of you was talking earlier about some specific self-tape equipment. Miles, I think it was you mentioned the iRig. Could you just go back and do a quick hit list there again of some items? Yes.
The iRig is a small little microphone that you can plug into your cell phone when you're doing your self-tapes. I talked about using a cell phone and having it landscape mode, because that's the way that most casting directors prefer it to be. Having lighting, because that is one of the most important things. And I can't remember the name of the light right now, but they're online, and they're thin and they're small and they're portable. You can take it with you wherever you're going and set it up, and it's adjustable. Software. There's iMovie if you're using, and there's
Does it look like this, Miles? Do you use a ring light?
A ring light? Yeah, you can use a ring light as well. I wasn't talking about a ring light, but yeah, ring light would be great as well. Just like with
I have an issue with the ring light. Is
I know,
sometimes
in the eyes.
the ring is in the eyes, and I think that's distracting. And it also it takes off real estate that's your eyeball, which is again really important. So yeah, I've got that issue.
I don't use that, but I've seen it. I've been in places where they use it, and so I see that could be an issue. But yeah, I think that's
great.
And being able to have that equipment portable. So get equipment that is small enough so wherever you go, you can use it and be able to take. Because I think we're going to be in a place where we're, and I've been there before. So like if you can have something that can hold your a stand that holds your phone up, so when you get callbacks that will probably be online now in the future, you don't have to try to hold it in your hand and that type of thing, and you can be ready to go.
Great, thank you.
Definitely need a tripod. Tripod is essential.
Yeah, tripod is.
And not sticking it on a top of a shelf or something.
Yeah. Erica, does the move to self-tape mean that productions will care less about actors' physical locations? What's your take on that?
I don't think that's a great question. Kathy, go, Kathy. You have an answer?
No, you have the best answer because I watched your video about it. It's about local hire issues. So
I think self-tape is not directly correlated with the ability to hire locals or whatnot. I mean, here's the thing. Can you be at set in 3 hours if someone calls you?
Right.
That's the answer. That's the best. Can you literally be there if someone's like, we're working, like, you got to be honest, transparent, let everyone know what the situation is, not with every detail that your father lives in Boise and that's where you are and this and that and the other, but just simple. I'm in LA. I am not planning to come back, but I will because I have a residence in Atlanta, and then I am considered a local hire, and I have no problem getting on a plane at a nanosecond of notice. That is being transparent, and then it is up to the casting director and the production to make a risk assessment of doing that. That's it.
Okay. Thank you.
Is that the same thing I said before, Kathy? Is that what I said on my video?
Yeah. And also, I mean, I don't know if I made it clear to everyone, I live in Atlanta, and the agents now won't even represent people that don't live here unless they were friends before or something, because there's such a huge talent pool here that you really have to be local hire to work in Atlanta. And there's more production in Atlanta than either LA or New York, or there was. I don't know what's going to happen now, but.
Right. Cathy, you mentioned earlier about putting yourself up online and screeners. Any recommendations on length of time on some things that you watch?
Yeah, short. I would say 5 minutes tops. I mean, if it's brilliant, 5 minutes, but if you just want to put up a monologue, a minute is really enough.
Okay.
Or whatever tells your story. People aren't going to watch a whole that much space really.
Right.
Online.
Erica, do you see Zoom becoming used for callbacks as well as in the whole using it throughout the entire process?
Oh, for sure. And for me, we've been using it pre-COVID, so it's the same thing. But yeah, absolutely. Zoom or Skype or FaceTime or whatever new technology or new software comes out to have that. What I would love, I'll put it out to the universe here. I would love some software where callbacks, and we've done this for commercials a lot, where there need to be chemistry reads, but people are in different states. And this has happened 3 times in the last 6 months, probably, where it would be great. And we do Google Hangout, and so we can see people talk, but then you can see yourself. It would be so great to have some software the actors can interact as much as we're interacting right now without, you know what I mean, full screen. Anyway, that's my wish for the technology gurus out there.
Okay. I'm going to jump in on this last one here, which is, do casting directors ever find indie creators and work with them to create a package that would sell to networks? Erica and Cathy, you can speak for yourselves. I know that you haven't told me you go and sell to networks. For the person who asked this question out there, I would recommend you look at the Storieroad Institute page and take a look at our seminar on how the network process works. You can send us an email about that, and we'd be happy to answer your question on that a little bit more directly. Well, that's about it. This has been great. Thanks for giving us the time and the energy, and people are commenting online about how nice all of you are, which is true. And you all seem so
We're all totally faking it.
all totally
Yeah. We're putting on an act of goodness.
Can I just, Philip, can I just say I've been to your festival a number of times.
Yeah.
And when it was in Vermont, I'm really excited to come while you're in your new location. But I have met so many amazing executives from HBO and other networks and other, and I know Cathy, you went even more recently.
Yeah, I went just last year, and it was the best festival I've ever been to, honestly.
It is so great. So really do. And Philip, I just directed 2 short films, and I just saw that you accept them. So I'm going to submit them. I just want to put in my own word publicly here to please look for them here today and Thursday.
I love it.
And Philip, I wanted to tell you that I'm from the Twin Cities. I don't know if you know that or not.
What?
Yes.
I got to tell you, since we moved to Minnesota 18 months ago, there are so many people in our industry that are either from here, live here, or connected to here.
Yes.
Like one of the showrunners and EPs over at Amazon, Melanie Marnich, comes from Duluth area.
Oh, wow.
One of the heads of the drama development over at FX, is from the St. Cloud area. We just did a showrunners conversation with Carl Vujcec that was on season 1 of Stranger Things. He lives in Minneapolis. Minnesota is Minnesota. Watch
Great
out.
place.
We've got this bill passed that's in our legislature right now for the tax incentive. Minnesota could come back in a big way pretty quickly. So.
Well, I could be there like that. All my family's there. I could be there like that.
Well, Cathy, Erica, thank you for your kind words about the festival. I'm looking forward to have you guys back out here in Duluth this fall. Miles, Tonia, it was a joy to meet you, and we are going to talk much more and often. Thank you again, and thank you to everybody out there who's listening, and we will see you further on down the road. Have a good day, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. How do you do the heart like that? There, heart. Okay. Camera right, camera left got me missed up. Okay. Bye, everyone. Love you all. Bye.